My name is Ryan Chalupsky. I live in Cody, Wyoming, and I'm a U.S. Army veteran. On June 2nd, 2001, I was commissioned into the Army. Was down at Fort Benning, Georgia on September 11th, 2001 when everything went sideways. Graduating the academy at a time of peace, and 2.5 months later, knowing without question that you're going to do what you're trained to do, it was a lot to take in at first. It was life-changing. Without question, it was life-changing. I mean, I grew up as a normal kid that liked to go out and play guns and war in the woods with my brother and my friends, and thinking that it's a game. And then when it became real, seeing what normal people shouldn't see, living through what normal people shouldn't live through, and being able to see like the tremendous acts of bravery by young men and women in our country that, 19 years old and putting a tourniquet on themselves because they had a leg taken off by a grenade. How do you put that into words? So it was a life-changing event. But the bonds that I made, the missions that we did, it was some of the most proudest things I've ever done in my life. Coming home and trying to reintegrate into a family. I was married at the time. When I left for my deployment, my daughter was 10 days old. My younger daughter was 10 days old. And when I came home, she was 13 months old. So missed an entire year of her life. My older daughter, she was 1.5 when I left, 2.5 when I came home. So trying to reintegrate into a wife, into raising 2 children, and being a normal part of society when everything that you've known it's just different. But your training, your reactionary mechanisms are so ingrained after 13 months of fighting that it was a really difficult process for me. There were some really, really dark times to the tune of being disappointed you wake up in the morning. And that was, that was probably, and I've explained this to a number of my friends, but the winter months where you're dark most of the day, except for your 8 hours of daylight, and you're not doing anything after work and drinking excessively. Like I said, the PTSD is the cause of my failed marriage, and just finally getting to the point where something had to turn. And I had an opportunity to be reintroduced into snowmobiling in 2015, and both my brother and I, and that was one of the most positive, life-changing events, just purely out of the fact that it gave us an outlet to be able to ride, to be able to be in the present, not in your head, and just go outside, get out of feeling confined or trapped. Having an outlet that is truly what flipped the script for my life. As we continued to ride, it became a family event. So after my sled in 2015, I got another sled in 2016 so that my girls and I could ride together. Bought my dad a sled in that same year so that he could ride. My brother had a sled. Living in the Midwest and coming out and riding mountains, it changes everything for you because you go from 2-dimensional riding to 3-dimensional riding. And so after that, I got hooked even harder than I was hooked before. We ride every weekend as much as possible. If there's heavy snow days during the week, call your boss and be like, "Oh, I'm sick." It pushes you. But honestly, the most important part about it is in snowmobiling, you have to be in the present. I mean, especially in 3D terrain where it's mountains and slides and hazards and risks, you have to be in the present and aware, so it truly forces you to be out of your head. And then now being able to be the executive director of All American Heroes Foundation and help change the lives of other veterans that are equally in need. I mean, it is one of the most rewarding things that I have the honor of being part of. I mean, I can say in all honesty and 100% certainty, it's the only reason I'm still here. I know that that's a bold statement, but when I say snowmobiling changed my life, it truly did.